Hello and welcome to my new video about the missing girl Nora Quoirin from Malaysia. She was over there holidaying with her family. She was with her mother and father and they went to a resort which was called Dusun in Seremban in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. It was very near to Kuala Lumpur, and I remember about 25 years ago I was in Malaysia in Stadium Negara in Kuala Lumpur and I had a very nice experience there. Unfortunately for this family, they've had a pretty difficult time since they arrived about 6 days ago, and Nora has not been found at all, and it's an awful time for her and of course for her family. Who are really missing her. Maeve, her mother, was on yesterday making an appeal with a loudspeaker, playing her voice through a recording into the forest, into the jungle, because it's a very dense jungle around the resort. And if Nora did get out her window and went off, maybe she was disorientated, maybe she just didn't know what time it was, because you remember they were traveling probably from Ireland or France to Malaysia, and the time difference there is so much different to what it would be here, and she probably was disorientated. That's just a possibility, and she got up out of her bed and wandered off and maybe fell down a ditch or a ravine. It's very possible something like that might have happened. We just have to hope that that isn't the case and everything is okay with her, and maybe she turns up somewhere safe. That is what we're all hoping for, me included. Just one of the things I would suggest is that earlier in the week the police made it a missing persons case, and her family are adamant that it's an abduction. They firmly believe that it's an abduction, and to be honest with you, with everything I've read and I've seen, and I'm not over there, so I'm not being a detective or doing any the detective's work, but I can tell from what I've heard so far that I would actually go along with what Maeve and her family have said. I do believe at this stage it looks like it's an abduction of some kind. Now, whether or not Nora was coerced out of her room, whether she was taken out of her room forcibly, or maybe beckoned, come this way, knock on the window, come, my car is broken, or the wheel's not working, can you fix it? I saw you in the resort earlier today, that kind of beckoning thing. And because she has kind of special needs, she probably fell into that trap. So I'd say it's one of those, she either had an accident, fell into a ditch, but I would have thought the dogs, the tracking dogs, would have found her scent and found her if her body was there, or if something had happened to her, she was injured. But her mother has said she's a unique 14-year-old. She's not like other teenagers. She has a special need and she needs a lot of care, and she's very anxious and delicate and stuff like that. So it's an awful time for Maeve. I felt sorry for her looking at her today. She's distraught, and none of us can imagine what it must be like. But at this stage, and I'm not there, so I don't know what the police have been doing. I know they've had drones up in the sky, they've had dogs out, they've had a big search party. Some of the indigenous local people who've been there for as long as we can remember, the people who were originally there, they went out looking as well. But I think at this stage, if I was there and I was working as a detective, I would have, on day one or at least day two, I would have drawn up a list of people who are in the resort, guests. I would take a list of the people who were working there as staff, who were on the night Nora went missing, all the people. Had she been talking to anyone when she arrived in Malaysia? Had she been talking to anyone at the resort, from the airport all the way to the taxi, all the way to the resort, and anyone in the resort? Was she friendly with anybody? Struck up a friendship with somebody? And I would, everybody's a suspect at this stage. I mean, you shouldn't feel that it's a bad thing to be doing. Everyone's a suspect, from all the people in the local village, all the people in the hotel, all the people working there. You have to assume somebody's done something with her. I just can't imagine she just went off, wandered off and fell down a ditch, because I think the dogs would have found the scent and would have been able to locate her today or yesterday. I really do believe that. I mean, we're in a very primitive type area, As far as I've heard, and this is only speculation, I don't believe there's CCTV in the resort. I could be wrong, and I'm open to interpretation. If I am wrong, please tell me I'm wrong in the comment section. But from what I heard, I didn't think there was any. I would be reluctant to go to a place that didn't have CCTV. Maybe there are things we need to check out if we're going to places like this, because it's a different language. it's a different language when you go to these countries. They're not speaking English, you know, and maybe in the resort they do. But if she went outside and she got talking to somebody, it's very possible they wouldn't know how to speak English, and you don't know what might have happened to her. And you do take a bit of a risk going to places like this, even though they're like paradise from the outside. It's surrounded by dense jungle. Now, can you imagine getting lost in there? I mean, it would be a bit of a nightmare, and she's not able to look after herself. And you know, I wish I was there to help. I'd love to be over there just to try and help, go through the forest and have a look for her, do what I could. But the police need to be drawing up a list of people who are working there and who are on site, anyone talking to her. That's very important. And to rule those people out of their inquiries. But like, we're in the 6th day. I don't know whether that was done in the early parts of the case. I can tell you, actually, just as I was reading here in one of the newspapers today, a Garda liaison officer, so anyone who's not in Ireland will know that a Garda is a police officer here in Ireland, and one of those has been sent over to the family as a liaison officer, which I think is a really nice gesture, and it'll really help them if they have any queries in relation to police work that's been done. And it's also someone who can do a bit of interpreting as well. So I think that's a nice gesture that the Irish government have done in terms of sending someone over there, because they need help. So if you have any comments on the case, we'll do an update on it again when we hear a bit more, but there's not much news coming out of Malaysia, maybe because of the language barrier and also the distance from Ireland and France all the way over there. It's very, very far, thousands and thousands of miles away, and it's far even when you're flying there. So there would have been a little bit of jet lag with Nora. She could have been disorientated. Don't know if she was on any medication, maybe because of her special need. I don't know. Maybe that kind of, you know, but it looks to me like that window, she either went with somebody, you know, willingly, thinking, you know, this person's okay, you know, I can trust them, or she went off on her own and something happened to her. So it's either one of those two things, I can only imagine. So I really hope for Maeve and her family that Nora is found. She seems like a great girl, and nobody wants to hear a bad ending to this. We want to hear something positive, because we've seen these stories before, you know, with Michaela Hart when she went to Mauritius, and another girl who went to Goa, and they didn't have happy endings. So I just don't want to see the same thing happen in this case. I want to see something positive come out of it. By the way, you can subscribe to my channel on the subscribe button. Just hit that, and you can also put a comment down and put something meaningful. I've said it before, don't be putting in trolly stuff, you'll just be blocked. So please put, out of respect, you know, to the families and everything, put in something meaningful, and how maybe the police can help, and what you think could be done, and what you think has happened. And I'd really appreciate that. Okay, thanks very much for checking out my video. We'll talk to you soon.